You ever just lay awake at 3 a.m. Googling acreages near me, dreaming of owning a property, riverbanks, trees, hayfields? Dreaming is fun, but it doesn't answer the questions that need to be asked. So I've asked a real estate specialist to weigh in on some of the questions you should be asking when looking to buy your first acreage. Probably don't need this anymore.
Okay.
How are you?
Good.
Everybody, this is Linda Mack. She sells real estate all across the southeast of Saskatchewan, and she was very nice in responding to me when I had a few questions that I think everybody watching might be interested in when buying their first acreage. You have a bit of experience with it.
Oh, I sure do. I've bought and sold many acreages with clients over the last 12 years.
Oh, that's amazing. Do you love your job?
I do. Yeah, it's great to be self-employed and make my own hours, and I meet a lot of great people.
Fantastic. So let's say that I'm living in an apartment or a house and I'm renting it and I want to buy my first acreage. Would I qualify for first-time home buyers buying an acreage?
Yes, definitely. There are benefits to first-time home buyers. For example, you can borrow against up to $35,000 of your RSPs that you do eventually have to pay back. And there's also a home buyer's tax credit for first-time home buyers. So both of those definitely apply to buying an acreage. The first thing that has to be looked at is there has to be a livable home on the acreage to apply for those benefits. You can't just buy an acreage that like 10 acres with no home on it. There has to be a livable home on the property in order to qualify for those benefits.
And for that, would the down payment be similar to if I was buying a house in town, or will it differ for an acreage?
It would be the same. You need a minimum 5% down payment. So it doesn't differ versus buying a house in the city.
All right, so a lot of people, it's a fantasy, you know, you leave the urban sprawl and you come out to the country, and what should be the top 3 big things that somebody's looking for when buying themselves their first acreage?
I think the first would be the house. A livable house, something that suits their needs, just as if they were buying in the city. Maybe they have a minimum amount of bedrooms they want, bathrooms, they want a big kitchen, that type of thing. Kind of along with that is a lot of people wanting to move out into the country are looking for, garages or shops or just structures to store their toys, so to speak. I would say another important thing definitely is the water and septic system. So most people prefer a good well. Some people don't mind hauling water, but for the most part, I find people want a good well because it's time consuming to haul water. So that would be the second.
Well, it's time consuming, and they would also need to buy the equipment to do so. They'd need some sort of tank, a truck, or whatever it may be.
And a good water source, because you might live near a town where you're hauling the water from and their water might not be good. The third, I would say, would be location. I find that the majority of people want to be close to the city. Not everyone, but most 15-20 minute drive max. And a lot of people look at, how far do they travel on gravel? Are they close to a highway? That's the majority.
How close they are to a Starbucks?
Yeah. Oh, yes, or Tim Hortons, I suppose.
Exactly. Whatever your coffee preference.
Exactly.
You need your coffee.
McDonald's.
Because
maybe.
if you don't live close enough to one, you're going to have to factor in the purchase of an espresso machine or a Keurig or something
Exactly.
like that.
I've never thought of that. Yeah. Good point.
So we've talked about the house quite a bit, and that's obviously crucial. You need somewhere to live, right? Unless you're going to live in a camper out in the field, which may not be the worst thing. But a lot of people are dreaming of that these days. When you're buying these houses, you have to have an inspection done, as with any home purchase, or you should. Mm-hmm. What other inspections are crucial when you're buying an acreage? Is there extra inspections that should be done?
So usually a lender doesn't ask for a home inspection to be done. We're seeing it become a little bit more common now with 1 or 2 lenders. So that's usually buyer's choice if they want to get that done. Always a good idea though. With an acreage, usually lenders want to see that the water is drinkable. So they want a water quality test. Some people also want a water quantity test. They want to make sure that your well recovery rate is a certain amount. Like, you don't want to be in the middle of a shower and running out of water. And some people have the septic tank looked at.
So really just the things that would make it livable that you would expect out of a city home, you just need to make sure that they're up to par out in the country.
Exactly, yeah, because you don't want to be moving out and find out you're going to be, you've got 3 kids and you're running out of water by 11 a.m. or the septic tank is caving in and needs to be replaced, or sometimes there's environmental concerns with an acreage as well. Is your gray water pump out far enough from the house, those types of things. You just don't want to run into issues where you move in and you're spending a lot of money to fix something.
So we've talked home inspections, we've talked first-time home buyers and your kids playing in the mud. How does purchasing a place out in the country, an acreage like this, differ from purchasing a place in town?
Right, I think foremost it's amount of selection. If you're looking for a house in the city, you have your criteria, but you've got maybe 50 houses to consider. Whereas if you're looking to be within 20 minutes of the city, there might only be 10 or 12 properties to consider. I just find people who've been looking for acreages, they have to be patient.
And what if they want animals?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they might have to add in some fencing. They also have to make sure they're purchasing enough acres for the type of animal they want. So, for example, if you want a couple of horses, you probably want approximately 5 acres. Of course, you're going to need less acres if you want to have a chicken coop, for example.
And speaking on that, where we are right now, there's actually a river not very far from here. If there's a river running through your property, would you have to get in touch with the proper agency, I guess, to discuss runoff, things like that?
Definitely. So that's more provincial.
Okay.
So you have to be careful with animal waste into public water bodies, and also you want them to be a distance from the well, things like that. So there's definitely environmental restrictions to follow. And I would say the more livestock or animals you have, probably the more rules there are to follow.
Okay. No, that's definitely a great answer. And I think a lot of people who are looking to get out in the country have this vision of having, at the bare minimum, chickens, fresh eggs, right? And horses are always great. And that's a whole other conversation with a whole other just range of things they need to learn and invest in. But it is the dream.
Yeah. And I mean, the way the world, food prices are going, the way the world is going, I'm thinking we're going to see more people planting gardens.
Absolutely.
Also on an acreage. I mean, you can do that in the city, but also maybe raising some of their own chickens and livestock
maybe.
for meat.
Cows.
Save some money at the grocery store, I guess.
Absolutely, and look cool in your overalls doing it.
Yeah, Can I say Carhartts? Yeah.
So talking about availability and selection being low, what would you say would be leading to that? Would it be the farmers and the folks out in the country wanting to hold on to their acreage or farm, or what's causing that?
Well, I think a couple of factors. One, for all type of residential properties, whether it be acreage or in a town or city, just nothing new being built in the area. We need some new builds. We need some developers to come to the city, which I think is challenging. So back in the boom, about 2010 to 2014 roughly, there were acreages popping up all over the place. And so people were subdividing out 10 acres, usually bringing in an RTM. But since we're no longer in the boom phase, we're really not seeing nearly as many new acreages being built in the area. And that therefore translates into the amount of inventory that's available to buy. Which means, again, if you're looking to buy an acreage, unfortunately not as much selection as there would be during a boom. And also, I find that there are some farm couples who, they're maybe renting out their land, they sold their land, what have you, but I really find a lot of them want to hold on to that house. They'll live there half time and they'll come into the city and have a little house. There are a few people like that. They just don't want to give up the farm.
It's a great life.
Yeah.
And the memories. You make a lot of memories out here, right?
Yeah.
Not that you can't in town, but it's different. Right? Sitting on a porch, watching the sunset out in the country. There's not much that beats that.
Exactly. And the house may have been in the family for decades and they just don't want to let go of it. And perhaps if they did, they could easily sell it, and that person's currently living in town, so then they put their house up for sale and someone that's currently renting it buys it. So, and then it gets movement again and more sales.
Which is great for you.
It is, of course.
There's nothing wrong with that. So for buying an acreage, going through the whole process, is it about the same as buying a residential property in town, or does it differ? Is it lengthier?
I would say it is lengthier just because usually there's more inspections.
Okay.
Like the well inspection,
Yeah.
perhaps the septic inspection. Yeah, definitely.
Longer.
Yeah, usually about a week longer than buying.
Oh, well, that's not much for your
property.
dream home.
No. No, it doesn't drag on too long.
Okay, so all of this stuff has been super helpful. So let's say I'm laying on my bed, scrolling at 3 a.m. and I see an acreage listed by you. That's amazing. Do I just call you up and be like, let's go, I'm ready to buy this acreage, get it done? What do I have to have prepared? What steps do I go through?
Okay, well, definitely, as with any purchase, get your pre-approval from your lender and make sure you qualify for the amount you're going to want to offer on the acreage. Yeah, that's really it. And if you're ready to go financially, just call me up to go see the acreage. If you don't specifically have an acreage in mind and you're just looking, I mean, most people are very internet savvy and they'll kind of vet it out themselves. Pretty much the first thing they say is, I want to be within such and such a distance of the city. That's usually what I get. And then I'll say, well, what's your price range? Kind of what's the highest you'll go? And they'll tell me, and then I'll kind of do a search in our system and see what might be available for them. And maybe send them a few ideas. But like I said, usually they're watching online themselves and have an idea of what might and might not work for them.
So I guess that kind of wraps up all the beginner steps and the primary questions somebody should be asking when looking to buy an acreage, especially if they've never done it before. I can't thank you enough for jumping on this. I reached out to you and you were very quick to get back to me and I appreciate that, and your insight has been so helpful, and I'm hopeful that it's going to help some of the viewers also in searching for their new acreage and finally getting a taste of that country life.
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great setting here. It's been fun.
You've been great, and this is beautiful. Could use a little more green on these trees behind us.
Yeah,
but
it's coming.
It's
yeah.
coming. What, a week ago we had snow.
I know.